Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Anasa. So happy to see you. So happy Mother's Day. Here we are. It's kind of gray out there, a little bit rainy, but so good to be here. So let's meditate. Take your attention inside. Can you hear me okay? Just double checking. Take your attention inside, down below your belly button. Feeling for that grounded place. Allowing all your attention to float down and have the feeling that your brain is draining all its kerfuffle as you come into a calm, centered place below your belly button. Taking your awareness into the space between the breaths. And immediately bringing in the flow of white light to cleanse anything that doesn't belong in your field. So let's stand under a shower of white light that completely encompasses our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. As we open ourselves to receive that white light and the clearing energy throughout our system. Again, focusing your attention below the belly button and the space between the breaths. And release everything that no longer serves the highest best. Gently allowing your attention to drop into the center of the earth. Feeling our interdependence. With all the life that supports our existence on this planet. And feeling for a sense of gratitude for all the forces that have created this life we have and sustain it. Gently bring your attention to the solar plexus. Feeling for a softness under our rib cage and behind our torso. And feel for the link between the tip of the tailbone and the energetic center at the solar plexus. Gently lifting your attention to the heart center. Feeling for the capacity to love our capital S self. That which powers and sustains everything that we are. Gently allowing your attention to move up to the high heart, located between our heart center and our throat. The high heart is a special junction point between the third eye and the heart that unifies our heart, mind, and expression through our voice. As we gently allow all three of these energy centers to make themselves known to us. Mm. Mm. As your system begins to open up, feel the flow in and around you. Mm. And now holding to this energetic awareness, gently open your eyes and savor the experience of being two places at once, knowing that there's truly no separation. We welcome you. How may we serve this morning? Hmm. What's happening for everybody? How is it out there? Excuse me. How may we serve? Good morning.
In this quiet beginning time, any astrological thoughts right now? Anything big coming up that would be food
There are
fodder for thought?
two major things coming up within the next couple weeks. The awful conjunction that we've been talking about between Rahu and Saturn, they have moved apart. They're at least 2 degrees apart now. And within the next 2 weeks, I think that Jupiter moves on the 18th. Jupiter is in Taurus and will be moving into Gemini. Uh, and that will make a change of the where the positive energy is focused in our charts. Venus remains exalted in Pisces, so that's been balancing out this Saturn Rahu conjunction that has been happening in Pisces. And Rahu, I think on the 19th, moves into Aquarius. I know these are both happening in May. Jupiter for sure on the 18th. I'm not entirely sure the exact date of Rahu, but we will definitely feel this change because Saturn and Rahu, the Saturn, the planet of democracy and conservation, also obstruction and delay, will be remaining in Pisces, but Rahu will move into Aquarius, which is its most powerful place. That's home base for Rahu. So Rahu will definitely be empowered. And Saturn is not disempowered. It's neutral in Pisces. So it's not its best place, but it's certainly not its worst place either. And Venus is in its best place in Pisces. So that's helpful.
So, what's the significance of Rahu being in its best place?
Well, that means that the planet of insatiable desire will be very empowered. And so people with insatiable desires will be empowered because that's the energy that they live for. But they will be empowered in a different way because uh, those that were touched by it in Pisces will not be touched in the same way. They won't have the direct aspect anymore. So things will change. The people who were the insatiable desires of Pisces are not the same insatiable desires. Aquarius has insatiable desire for democracy, for example. So there is balance there because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, even though it's Rahu's comfortable place. There's still there's kind of a governor there, and so things may be quite different. So these there are always so many conflicting forces that it's difficult to say this is going to happen or that's going to happen. But Aquarius is it's an air sign, so it's about intelligence also. So the communication is going to be more intelligent. And uh, Venus in Pisces is very idealistic. So, these things are all very interesting how they're going to change. And with Jupiter going into Gemini, Gemini always has at least two things going. And it's also a very intellectual place. So it seems that the quality of the dialogue will change. And, you know, the sort of overwhelming darkness of the conjunction of Saturn and Rahu and the toxicity that we felt, you know, that's lifting. There's no longer this incredible overwhelming toxicity. And so as that lifts, the quality of the dialogue may change quite a bit. And there will be a different kind of resistance to the toxicity. You know, it won't be so overwhelming. The other thing that will happen, I forget the date of this, but Mars has been debilitated in Cancer for a while. And so the planet of war is in its least comfortable place, and it becomes more a planet of peace. And so so that's been very interesting. Um, And you'll notice that the wars that are happening are sort of hidden. They're not exactly upfront and personal. And that's part of this Mars in Cancer. So that's sort of what we're seeing. It was interesting, Pope Leo uh, running his chart. Uh, uh, we don't have a correct birth time, but it looks pretty clear that Pope Leo is a Leo, that he aptly chose his name, and that he has Sun, Mars, and Moon all in Leo. Uh, and you know, that makes him a king. I mean, he's clearly a king, and he chose a kingly name. And this is from running the birth chart with the sunrise, which is one of the techniques that astrologers use if they don't have the birth time. And it just seems so clear that he's a Leo since he picked that name for himself. And the chart makes total sense in that way, because K2, Jupiter is in the 12th house, the 12th house of loss and of working in institutions. So he's in a spiritual institution. So that also makes total sense in his chart. And then K2 is in his 10th house, the planet of moksha is his career. So that also makes total sense. And uh, Rahu and Ketu are in the reverse of their exaltation in his chart, which means that, well, different people interpret it different ways, but it definitely means that they behave differently, especially Rahu. We hope that's helpful.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's hard to get the information out of the jargon. I'm
That's
sorry if there's so much.
no, and I know it's anyway. Thank you. Very good.
But what we can say for sure is that things are getting better. They're not getting worse. They're definitely getting better. Everything is feeling better.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's interesting if you remember the last eclipse where it was visible, all those places in the world are having problems, the US being one of them. US, India, Pakistan, uh, Israel, Gaza, uh, Ukraine. The last eclipse was visible from all those places.
Do you have any thoughts on or input on the strengths of our upcoming young people? I bring it up because I'm going to cry. I have a 17-year-old in my life who's going to be graduating high school in within 3 weeks. And they are such a bright star. They're just incredible. And
So here's what we can tell you. Every generation does better than the one before them. Every generation comes in wanting to do better than the one before them. This is what the adolescent parental rejection is about. It's like, I can do better, I can see better, and I'm going to do it. And, 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 uh, and this is how human beings learn and refine and evolve. And so all indications are that the evolution that's required to sustain humanity on Earth is occurring. And there are several ways to look at it. AI is changing everything quicker than we can imagine, and gaining capacity quicker than we can imagine because AI is learning to teach itself. And so this is going to change the it's going to change the face of the earth very quickly and how people spend their time. And very clearly what's happening in the world right now is a huge reaction to what's happening in the United States. And so across the board, every election since ours has been people choosing what they don't want. I mean, choosing what they want instead of what they're seeing happening here. And so, as the guides have said all along, people need to see what they don't want to choose what they do. And so the US is providing the demonstration of what happens if you choose the wrong thing. And so the rest of the world is responding by choosing very clearly leaders that are interested in democracy. So, our suffering will not be in vain. And it's changing the world. Does that help?
that's all interesting and good. I don't like to categorize it as good, but I like the yeah.
Well, it's all evolutionary.
Right. That's what I
When we
was
see it in that context, then,
yes.
there are lots of moving parts. And, when I take it personally, I understand that sometimes, I used to have this image that I would show myself whenever I was really having a hard time, and that life is like a bicycle tire, and sometimes you're on the top and sometimes
Yes,
you're on the
yes,
bottom, but it
yes.
does keep moving. And so this is true throughout the microcosm and the macrocosm.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is that even though we feel it personally, it's not particularly personal. And the more we can rise above that personal and choose to be happy no matter what, the better life, the better quality life we have, and the better quality people we will attract around us, more importantly. And it's important to allow life to inspire us, to have contact with a younger person who is just lit up with life
What blows
and
my mind.
vitality.
Yes.
This keeps us positive. And so we applaud your cultivation of that relationship and what you bring to it. Your years of life experience can be of help to this person. So creating flow and maintaining flow in that relationship is important for both of you. Yeah, so we applaud that.
I feel blessed and everything I give is the volume of love is multiplied as it transmits through.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
just it's like
that's
I'll
how it
give this
works.
much and it comes out like that much. It's
Yeah, and
just
as you cultivate that flow, it just gets bigger and bigger,
yeah,
and it attracts more and more.
yeah. Good. Thank you.
But, that's not exactly true for all of us. Each of us has a different programming. And so what is perfect for one person can be, perfect horror for another. And so, some of us are more monastic in our inner work. And, choosing happiness in that is also, and we all go through phases of that, phases where it's really important to hold the energy inside and allow it to have its way with us. And this period in astrology kind of lends itself to that. And so we'll come in and out of that in the next few years, all of us. Because there are periods where we are internalizing and growing through our experience. And then there are periods where we are externalizing and sharing that flow with our outer world. And these periods are written in our astrology chart before we're born. So it's not exactly that we're responsible for them. What we're responsible for is understanding and maintaining our connection to our highest self. Understanding that maintaining that connection, that alignment with our internal flow and the flow of the multiverse, that maintaining that connection is our most important goal, if there is a goal. And that's what is meant by being true to oneself. It's being true to oneself with a capital S. And it really has nothing to do with any spiritual or religious choice exactly. It has to do with our own dedication to that which we are cultivating within ourselves. And it will look at different ways at different times. and it will change. And that's okay. And those changes are some of the most intense, they promote some of the most intense growing periods for us. And we'll say the greatest danger that we've observed in spiritual work is when people deny they have a shadow side. And the reason it's a danger is because it limits the their capacity to live in truth, personal truth. Personal truth is required to sustain spiritual accomplishment.
You said that one of the that denying our shadow side limits us. Can you talk about, so I'm like, well, I'm not denying my shadow side. And I'm like, how do I know that I'm not? Like ways to explore. How do you
Well, one thing is that when you have behaviors that you can't account for and would rather deny, that's your doorway in. Especially especially if they get you and possibly other people in trouble.
behaviors I can't account for?
You know, things
I
that just,
do.
yes, those are doorways. And you know, it can be anything like overwhelming anger that is not appropriate to the immediate circumstance. That's a doorway. Um, you know, attracting circumstances where uh, we are not appreciated. That's a doorway. You know, attracting energetic vampires. That's a doorway. Uh, and in other people, Well, as we come to understand ourselves, we understand other people better as well. As we come to understand our own shadow, we understand the shadow of others. And this is the genesis of compassion, because we understand how hard it is to love our shadow into harmony. Yes. Can't hear you. You'll get it. Still can't hear you.
Bottom left of your screen, wiggle your mouse around there. Your little microphone should be in the bottom left of your screen. Maybe. That's where mine is. There you
There
go.
we go.
There you are.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Um, what you just said about the shadow side, it became clear to me my shadow side is about outbursts of anger. I have, I feel as though I try to keep it under control, and then all of a sudden, when it's too much, it comes out like a blast, and it's never been productive. Um, it's hurt things. And once I got a clue about that, which was decades ago, actually, it's been decades since I've been working on having a different way and being able to be calm and centered and wait. So there are things that I can do. I know that. But the most important thing, I think, was becoming aware that that was there, and um, not justifying it in any way. Um, People would say, well, yes, you were pushed to it. You know, you had a right to be angry and all that. No, that's not the point. Um, the point was that it disrupts from my place, it disrupts my universe internally, and it has effects externally too. So it's been really important for me to realize the shadow side. And for a long time, I did deny it. You know, I was working on the light side, and so I was focusing on that and not really paying attention to the shadow side. And then it came up really strongly, and
That's usually how
that's
it
been,
happens.
yeah, yeah. Well, it did, and that's been my main work uh, over the past few years. Um, the relationship with our daughter was very informative in a way because it was made clear that there was no direct uh, route to clearing things up externally. So I had to focus on what was going on with me. And what became clear was you say kerfuffle in your mind, um, the negative thoughts that just keep repeating, a tape loop of that. And I can't do anything about them at this point. I mean, they keep coming up. I can't, I say, okay, that's enough of that. And then 5 minutes later, I'm in the same bag. And but right now I'm in the noticing stage of my negative thoughts. But I definitely have um, had a response internally to my wish not to have my temper blow out um, the relationships and people and myself.
We encourage you to take yourself to the Inasa temple and ask to be shown how to work with this anger in yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
That's
yes.
so simple.
We can take anything to the Inasa temple. And what will happen is you'll do the practice, you'll feel like nothing happened. And then 2 days later, when you're folding laundry, you will suddenly have an insight.
Say that again.
You'll
We
go to
took off
the
our
Inasa.
sound bar so that we could talk to you, and now I can't really hear you
Oh,
very well.
okay. So what will happen is you'll go to the Inasa temple, you'll do your practice, and you'll feel nothing changed. And then 2 days later, you'll be folding laundry, and suddenly you'll have an insight into how to work on your anger. Because there's a certain kind of receptivity that you cultivate when you're in the Anasa temple that takes time to filter through your beingness so that you can actually receive the answer that you're requesting. So, sometimes we go to the Anasa temple, and especially when it's with other people, things just happen. Sometimes we go for ourselves and it feels like nothing is moving that pattern. But the truth is, energetically, things are being worked on and they're just out of our range of experience. But going and asking for help is always that message is always received. And in our experience, the help comes in some way or another, often in completely unforeseen and unforeseeable ways. And it's full of mastery, of miracle, and eventual mastery. Oh, we lost you again.
Taking out the sound bar.
There we go.
So now I won't hear you. um, but what you're saying, I connected with our daughter in the Anasa temple over the last few years a lot. And nothing seemed to be happening. And I didn't reach out because what I found was that every communication was misinterpreted in the worst possible way. And so I stopped doing that and only communicated in the Anasa temple. And as you said, miracles happened. It took a long time, but I told you that she and our grandson showed up at our door twice in 1 week. I recommended a piece of music that I absolutely, she's a musician, and I recommended a certain piece of music. It took her a while to listen to it, but while she was listening to it, she texted me, I picture you and I dancing. I know. Anyway, I've got goosebumps right now thinking about it, and I'm just allowing it to be. My response to her was beautiful, and that was it. But
We
anyway, go,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, we want to
No,
share with you that as you're talking, we're seeing that you are anger based and she is fear based.
ah,
And so your anger tends to incite her fear.
yeah,
There it is.
And this is why the interpretation of any stimulus as attack. Does that make sense?
that I had to do my work for a period of time in order for the trust to come back and to trust that I am who I say I am to her. Um, she didn't see that. And she was a person that I had an outburst with and it changed things um, for years. So anyway, it's in my face as to what's going on, and I will definitely take it to the temple. Um,
So we'll say one of the reasons the music was successful is because the music provided calm and comfort. And so anything that you can offer in terms of calm and comfort
Yeah.
will engender more of that
Yeah,
trust that you're not attacking.
yeah,
But anything that has any kind of judgment or confrontation will do the opposite.
yeah, and even words of wisdom.
Oh, yeah, that's judgment.
Forget about that.
Yeah, words of
Yeah,
wisdom are judgment. That's
yeah.
that's how they're interpreted. So,
Well, that's what I saw. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
By the way, just for all of you beautiful people, the song is Through the Gates by Russell Walder from the album Pure Joy, which if anybody wants a lift, I recommend listening to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you want the side, there's a side
I know I turned it over and it worked.
that has white, and that's the
Yeah,
wrong side.
I don't see white. Oh, there. That's
Uh,
white, right?
Yeah,
what was the last name? It was Russell.
Walder. Walder.
Okay, it's in the chat.
And the album is aptly named Pure Joy.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
There you go.
I found
you
the
found it.
YouTube video. Yep, there it is. It looks
There it
real.
is.
Looks accurate.
Yeah, Julie just put the album in the chat.
Or the song at
The
least.
song, yeah.
Yeah. Yay. Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. It's so helpful to have lived through experience to share with each other about this.
Say again to, I don't know your name, but you that you
Juliana,
Juliana. Okay. Um, my experience of the younger generation is what you are experiencing. It just is mind blowing. Um, the they're so intelligent and compassionate and wonderful. I I feel as though the world is in good hands no matter what happens.
Fearless. They're fearless.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not overwhelmed by the things that we
We
see.
see that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I'm like, what are you gonna do? And they're like, what do you mean? We're gonna change it. Yeah,
Yes, we're going
Yeah.
to turn salt water into water
yeah,
and make it affordable.
yeah.
I mean, they have visions beyond what we dream of. And they're all thinking about it. They're all thinking about it really carefully and how to participate in a big way, not in a little way, but in big ways. And so I agree, we're in totally good hands. And again, our job is to cultivate that highest alignment, no matter how, where, what, who, when. Those things are not important. It's important that we cultivate our own highest and that we deal with our own shadow. And that's it. That's our job. What else? Hmm. Anyway, we like the new Pope. Yeah. He at least cares about poor people, if not about women.
I my dad's side of the family, Mexican Catholic, and I've never leaned into Catholicism at all. And I tell you, there was a little shimmer of joy and pride with the Catholic Church having chosen a good pope. I felt that like in my cells because I know that side of my family is just elated. It was an interesting feeling not being a religious person to feel such a surge of pride and joy. about it. We'll see how it goes, but it's interesting feeling.
Well, we're going to amend what you just said about not being a religious person, because you have been paying attention to your spirituality for some time. And in our mind, that's the definition of a religious person, is a person living their spirituality. And so, and the reason we say that is because we don't want you to have any feelings of less than about yourself in this endeavor. And especially as you communicate with others younger than you who may have differing views that they haven't thought through. We want to validate your experience as lived through choice that we see making you happy on a daily basis. And this is what it's all about, cultivating that joy. And even feeling that for, well, they say 1/32 of a second changes your life forever. And so discovering how to live in that, and from that, we just want to validate your experience and your accomplishment, and encourage you never to feel less than. And we want to add to that your willingness to immediately look for, oh, where's my shadow? Is itself a demonstration of who you are. And the unbounded curiosity that you bring to every experience, which is really the key to any kind of spiritual success.
Moving forward with curiosity, with a little lamp, rather than, even if I only take like a couple feet down into the cave, is
You
such
are the lamp, my dear.
it's so getting rid of having that approach instead of having fear. Like, get right.
Yes.
Just it.
And the worst thing that's going to happen is you'll run into a dead end and turn around.
Right, you run into the
and
wall or
find
the
another exit. This is not,
Yeah.
And you will have learned so much along the way that, there's always risk in making choices. But there's always risk in having choices made for you, too. And the choices made for you don't always come from the highest unless you're asking. If you're asking for the highest, yeah, then. So, but that's what alignment is, and that's how we discover what that alignment is. It's by asking and by taking leaps of faith. What else? We've been dazzled by our garden this week. The flowers are just amazing. Tell you, Portland, what a climate. Last year we had a few irises. This year we have irises. And they're so beautiful. They're just like, this purple velvet.
Speaking of climate, I don't want to derail us before we're almost over, but there's the concept now of climate refugees, and that part of the way that the Earth might be able to sustain this massive population is more efficient concentration of people in places that are livable and getting them out of places that are not livable and What's your thought about people and there's people, do we come together in a more efficient way to get people out of harm's way? I mean, unless there's a gigantic disease die-off, we have a lot of people that need to be somewhere else. Anything, any observations on that?
Well, it's always the same answer, that humanity based in love and respect can solve anything. Humanity based in power and control can solve nothing. So this is the dilemma. And so choosing love and respect, that involves the entire multiverse, which means acknowledging our interdependence. And the solutions all involve inclusivity, not exclusivity. And so the idea of humanity working together for the whole and nobody being excluded is where all solutions lie. All parts are welcome. The things that we teach are true throughout the microcosm and the macrocosm. All parts are welcome. All beings are welcome. Every living being is part of the overall community of life that sustains life, and it's our interdependence that needs to be acknowledged and worked with. The idea that humans have dominion is completely false. We're proving it every day. And so the alignment that we seek is completely inclusive. And that alignment contains the solution. So the more we practice alignment, the more we bring our own field of experience into alignment, and every life that we touch has more power of alignment. Thank you for that. There is enough for everyone. It's a delusion. Scarce resources are delusion. abundance is still available. But that delusion creates fear, which allows power and control, which creates division, because there is not acknowledgement of inclusivity. What else? We want to say happy birthday to Brenda. His birthday was yesterday. Great gratitude to her. So let's spend a few minutes in meditation, cultivating our highest. Well, we just want to say one thing in closing, and that is that every effort that we make toward being in alignment lifts up the entire whole. So we can remind ourselves of that as we are practicing, because our participation does make a difference. It's what we have to offer in the big picture by doing our work in the small picture. Thank you so much for coming. We've really enjoyed being with you. So much love. Bye for now.